question leaves a trail. Every story hides a clue. Truth is waiting in the silence. Come take the dive, I'll walk with you. Maine Mirror, where truth comes into view.
Imagine finding out that your local town government is sitting on a bank account with nearly $19 million in it.
Wow.
Right? You hear that number and you just think, wow, we are flush with cash.
Right.
But then, you open your mail a few months later, and you find out your property taxes just went up anyway.
Yeah, that is a tough pill to swallow.
It makes no sense. I mean, how is that mathematically possible? Why on earth does a town need millions in the bank while simultaneously, asking you for more money?
Well, it's the ultimate paradox of local government. And it is honestly the exact contradiction that drives taxpayers absolutely crazy.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, people see these massive numbers on a municipal document, they see their tax bill, and they just assume someone somewhere is doing the math wrong.
And that tension is exactly what we are getting into today. We are taking a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of municipal finance, basically decoding how your town actually manages its money.
It's a great topic.
And to do this, we're not just speaking in hypotheticals, We have a highly specific, real-world case study for you today, which is the town of Belgrade, Maine.
Such an interesting example to use, too.
It really is. And we are pulling from a massive stack of official sources here. We've got an investigative article published in the Maine Mirror by Ryan Michaels. That one is dated July 13, 2026.
Right, a really thorough piece.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And we also have Belgrade's raw municipal balance sheets from December 2025, an expense summary from January 2026, the official state of Maine tax rate calculation form, and this is the best part, the actual word-for-word meeting minutes from an April 14, 2026 select board meeting.
It is a phenomenal archive to work through. And just to, set the scene for you a bit, picture a classic wood-paneled New England town hall blended with a modern financial database.
Oh, I can totally see it.
Right. And Belgrade is a town that is just steeped in history. It actually predates Maine's statehood by 24 years.
Wait, really?
Yeah. If you look at their 2025 annual town report, they proudly display a quote from Samuel Adams, the architect of the American Revolution himself, noting that Belgrade was incorporated way back in 1796. That was when Adams was governor of Massachusetts.
That is wild. A town that is literally older than the state it resides in.
Exactly.
But so, to understand how a place with that much history manages its modern economy, we kind of have to start with the document that triggered this whole wave of citizen curiosity in the first place.
The independent audit.
Yes, their 2025 independent audit. Because according to the Maine Mirror, Belgrade's December 2025 audit showed some just eye-popping figures.
Oh, absolutely massive numbers.
Like total assets exceeding $18.8 million. And within that, over $6.6 million in pure cash and cash equivalents.
And that right there is the $19 million number that gets people talking.
Naturally.
When an audit shows a total governmental net position of around $17.7 million at the end of the year, the immediate public reaction is almost always outrage.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if I'm a resident reading the local paper and I see my town has over $6 million in pure cash, I'm marching down to the town hall to ask why I'm paying property taxes at all.
Right, exactly.
I mean, why not just declare a tax holiday and run the town off the $6 million bucks?
Well, because an audit is, by definition, a financial snapshot taken at a highly specific moment in time. In this case, December 31st.
Okay.
It is a compliance document designed to check for accounting standards. What it is not is a strategic policy document. I mean, think about the timing.
Right, the end of the year.
Exactly. December 31st is the end of the fiscal year, but it's also the exact moment before the massive bills of the new year begin to hit the town's checking account on January 1st.
Ah, I see. So it tells you what is sitting in the vault on New Year's Eve, but it completely ignores the invoices stacked on the town manager's desk for the spring.
Precisely.
It's like looking at my bank app on the morning of payday. If you take a screenshot right then, I look incredibly wealthy.
We all do on payday.
Right. But that screenshot doesn't show the mortgage payment that's auto-drafting tomorrow, or the grocery bill or the car insurance for the month. Is an audit basically just a municipal payday screenshot?
That is the perfect way to look at it. And, the Maine Mirror article makes this exact point. The audit establishes a baseline.
Meaning what, exactly?
It proves the town isn't losing the money. It accounts for all the assets and liabilities, but it doesn't settle the debate over taxation because it strips away all the public policy context.
And in municipal finance, context is everything.
Exactly, which is exactly why taxpayers in Belgrade were getting so engaged. They saw these huge numbers but wanted to know the actual plan behind them.
Which brings us to the biggest friction point in this entire stack of documents. When citizens started digging into that audit, the confusion really crystallized around one specific concept.
Ah, yes, reserves.
The dreaded R word. Because when taxpayers hear reserves, they picture like a giant Scrooge McDuck vault of gold coins that the town is just hoarding for a rainy day.
They really do.
Yeah.
But the governmental fund's balance sheet proves that is completely false.
Right. Looking at the December 2025 balance sheet, the town had roughly $8.35 million in total fund balances.
Right, the total reserves.
But they don't just dump that into one big pile.
yeah,
Government accounting legally forces towns to break that money down into incredibly strict categories.
and let's walk through those buckets because this is where the outrage usually falls apart once people understand it.
Okay, so first you have unassigned funds, which sat at about $2.99 million.
Basically 3 million.
Right. Then you have committed funds at roughly another $3.05 million. Next, restricted funds at about $1.97 million.
Almost 2 million there?
Yep. And finally, non-spendable or permanent funds, which were much smaller, at around $339,000.
What's fascinating here is how legally rigid those boundaries are. Knowledge is only powerful when it's understood, right? So take restricted funds, for example. That nearly $2 million is legally bound by outside forces. That might be a federal grant for a specific water project or state funds strictly allocated for road repair.
So the town can't just move it around.
Not at all. If a local official gets frustrated and tries to use that restricted money to, say, pay a teacher's salary, they aren't just breaking a local rule, they are violating state or federal law.
Oh, wow. So they could get sued or lose future funding entirely.
Exactly. So that $2 million is completely walled off.
Okay, so what about committed funds?
Committed means the money has been officially locked in by a formal action of the town itself, like a town vote.
Got it.
A great example is a capital vehicle fund. Say a town knows they need a new fire truck in 5 years and it costs $1 million. Instead of taking out a massive loan with terrible interest rates in year 5, they commit $200,000 a year into a locked account.
Okay, so by year 3, that account has $600,000 in it.
Right. It looks like surplus cash on the audit, but it's already officially spoken for.
So what does this all mean? If I'm trying to wrap my head around this, if I'm arguing at a town meeting, my personal finances actually map onto this pretty well.
Let's hear it.
So the unassigned $3 million is my everyday checking account. The committed $3 million is the envelope of cash sitting on my desk because I know I need a new roof next year and I'm slowly saving for it.
Perfect analogy.
And then the restricted $2 million is my kid's 529 college fund that I legally can't touch for a vacation without massive IRS penalties. And the non-spendable $300,000 is like a locked-in government bond where I can only spend the earnings, not the principal.
Exactly. And this is why the Maine Mirror highlighted the reserve confusion so strongly. Misinterpreting these buckets leads to highly flawed tax debates.
I can see why.
Two people can stand up at a town meeting, quote completely different numbers from the exact same balance sheet, and both be technically correct.
Right, one person yells, we have over $8 million in reserves.
And the other person yells back, we only have $3 million we can actually use. They are both looking at the same page, but entirely misunderstanding the mechanics.
But, okay, I'm going to push back here for a second, because even if we ignore the restricted and committed money, $3 million in unassigned funds is still a massive amount of cash to just have sitting around in a checking account.
It sounds like a lot, yes.
If the town has $3 million with no specific rules attached to it, why not use that to lower taxes right now?
Because of cash flow. And to understand that, we have to look at how a town actually spends its money day to day. We have to move from the static snapshot of the audit to the living reality of the January 2026 expense summary report.
Oh, this document is wild. It shows the town's total year-to-date net budget was roughly $5.99 million.
Just shy of $6 million.
Yeah, and right off the bat, you see the massive disparity in where that money goes.
Yeah.
Education is the absolute behemoth, budgeted at over $3.76 million.
Which is typical, you know. Schools are almost always the largest driver of local property taxes.
But then you look down at the other departments. Public Works is budgeted at about $404,000. General government is around $429,000. Public safety is roughly $306,000.
And don't forget debt service.
Right. Debt service paying back the loans is about $364,000. But then you hit the smaller departments. The recreation, the library, cemetery maintenance, they take up a tiny fraction. Social services is budgeted for a ridiculously small amount compared to the rest.
It really contextualizes the scale of local government. A lot of people assume cutting administrative overhead or trimming social services will balance a town budget.
Right. They think there's all this waste.
But when you look at those tiny fractions and the school is approaching $4 million, you realize that tweaking the small departments doesn't actually move the needle on a tax bill.
But here is where the cash flow crisis really becomes apparent. I'm looking at the far right column of this January report. The percent spent.
This is the crucial part.
January is literally month one of a 12-month year. Mathematically, a flat budget means you should spend about 8% of your money each month. But in January alone, Public Works burned through over 24% of its entire annual budget.
Yep.
And the schools burned through almost 17%. I mean, are they burning through cash too fast? Or is this just the reality of winter plowing and school semesters in Maine?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains exactly why that $3 million in unassigned reserves is so vital. Think about the reality of life in Maine. Seasonality dictates everything.
Oh, right. The winters.
Exactly. January is peak winter. Public Works doesn't plow snow evenly over 12 months. They have to buy massive amounts of road salt, pay huge amounts of overtime, and repair heavily utilized vehicles right at the beginning of the year.
The snow does not care about a perfectly balanced spreadsheet.
It really doesn't. And the schools are hitting the halfway point of their academic year, so major semester contracts and tuition bills are due. Now remember how property taxes work.
People pay them in chunks.
Right. Citizens usually pay their taxes in installments, maybe spring and fall. So in January and February, the town is bleeding cash to keep the roads clear and the schools open, but the big influx of tax revenue won't arrive in the mail for months.
So if they don't have that $3 million in unassigned cash just sitting in the bank, they literally cannot make payroll for the snowplow drivers in February.
Precisely. The unassigned reserve isn't a slush fund. It is the shock absorber for the town's seasonal cash flow. This expense report allows citizens to hold the town accountable in real time. It fulfills the exact transparency the Maine Mirror article advocates for.
That fundamentally changes how you look at a reserve balance. It's not hoarding, it's operational survival.
Exactly.
But recognizing that cash is tight early in the year means town officials have to manage these financial dials incredibly carefully. And, spreadsheets don't just magically appear. They are the result of human debate.
Which brings us to the actual town meeting process.
Yes. The April 14th, 2026 Board of Select Persons meeting minutes. I have to say, I love reading actual town meeting minutes. They capture the raw human element of government.
They really do.
The quorum was established at exactly 6:32 p.m. And immediately during public comment, you get this fantastic local drama.
Oh, the debate over the town manager position.
Yes. A resident named Susan Randall stands up to support Mary Vogel as the interim town manager. But then another resident, Lisa Gania, addresses the board and demands to know why they are spending time and money searching for a new manager when they have Mary Vogel sitting right there.
Right.
But the catch is in the minutes. Town clerk Mary Vogel stated right in the meeting that she didn't actually want the permanent job.
Right, she was just filling in.
It's a perfect snapshot of how intensely personal local politics gets. People aren't just debating spreadsheets, they're debating their neighbors.
And that human element bleeds directly into the financial decisions, because right after that public comment, the board moves to unfinished business, and they start manually adjusting the town's revenue and expense projections live in the room.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They were reviewing the town meeting warrant. The list of items voters will eventually approve or reject. On Article 15, they voted 5-0 to increase the expected excise revenue line to $1.45 million.
Yep.
And they reduced the tree growth line to $15,000. And then on Article 16, They voted to add $10,000 specifically to fund the search for that new town manager they were just arguing about through the MMA.
And let's explain what that means, because excise revenue sounds like accounting jargon.
Yeah.
In Maine, you pay an excise tax locally when you register your vehicle.
Okay.
By increasing the projection for excise revenue, the board is essentially predicting that residents are going to buy or register more cars this year.
Wait, so by predicting more car tax revenue, they are magically creating more income on the spreadsheet?
Yes. And every dollar they project in vehicle taxes is one less dollar they have to extract from property taxes. It's a calculated risk. If they overestimate how many cars people buy, they end the year with a deficit.
This isn't some shadowy backroom. It's literally like watching a live edit of a Google Doc that determines everyone's cost of living. They move 10 grand here for a manager search. They bump up car tax projections over there.
And that proves that budgets are evolutionary, which is a point the Maine Mirror hammered home. Budgets aren't handed down from a mountaintop. They undergo departmental prep, committee review, and these live select board debates long before a tax bill is ever assessed.
But eventually, the debates have to end. The snow plows have to be funded, the reserves have to be maintained, and the bill has to be paid. All this debate, all these reserve funds eventually culminated to one highly complex piece of math.
The actual property tax rate.
Right. The municipal tax rate calculation form.
Yeah.
This is a standardized 2025 document required by Maine Revenue Services, and it is the invisible bridge between the town hall arguments and the check you write.
It really is the anchor of the whole system.
The first number that jumps off this page is the sheer scale of the town's wealth. Belgrade's total taxable real estate valuation sits at over $1.05 billion.
$1 billion in taxable value. That is the massive pool of wealth the town is operating within.
But then you look at the deductions and assessments. The town had to cover a $1.3 million county tax bill. They had a $4.5 million municipal appropriation for the plows, the library, and the town hall.
Right.
And they had that massive $7.4 million local education appropriation. Add all of that up, and the town is staring down over $13.2 million in total assessments.
That's a huge number.
So how does a town with $1 billion in property and $13 million in bills boil that down to what an individual homeowner actually pays?
This raises an important question, and it's all about the seesaw effect.
Yeah.
They have the total bills, but the town doesn't tax property owners for the entire $13.2 million because they have other streams of income.
The allowable deductions.
Exactly. The form shows the town bringing in about $1.8 million from other sources. That includes about $350,000 in state municipal revenue sharing and roughly $1.48 million in other revenues, like those excise taxes we saw the board tweaking during their live meeting.
Oh, right.
So you take the total bills, $13.2 million, you subtract the allowable deductions, roughly $1.8 million, and you are left with the net amount to be raised by local property tax. For Belgrade, that magic number was exactly $11,404,644.
That is the exact amount of cash the town absolutely must extract from that billion-dollar property pool to survive the year.
And the math to get there is just so beautifully brutal. You divide the cash needed by the total property value. When you divide that $11.4 million by the $1.05 billion in real estate, it generates the tax rate. The town officially selected a rate of 0.010600.
Or, in the language taxpayers actually use, roughly 10.6 mils, meaning you owe $10.60 for every $1,000 your property is worth.
That single sheet of paper mathematically proves that regardless of where you stand on taxes, every single dollar spent is directly extracted from that shared property pool.
It's incredible to trace the life cycle of a tax dollar like this. I mean, we started with an intimidating $18.8 million audit snapshot that made the town look flush with cash.
Right.
But then we broke down the balance sheet and saw the reality of restricted versus unassigned reserves. We watched the town spend it on schools and snowplows in January. We witnessed the live debates in the April Select Board meeting. And finally, we saw how it all mathematically generated the 10.6 mil tax rate.
It is a massive, complex ecosystem.
It really is. And, we should remind everyone here, taxes and government spending are obviously heated, politically charged topics.
Oh, without a doubt.
Our goal today wasn't to take a side on whether Belgrade's taxes are too high or too low. We're just reporting exactly what the public records state to empower you, the listener, to understand the mechanics of your own local government.
And that brings us back to a lingering question raised by the Maine Mirror article. Ryan Michaels pointed out several long-term financial trends in Belgrade, but he asked a really crucial question. How does town meeting participation compare with overall voter registration?
And that is the perfect provocative thought to leave you with today. We just saw how a handful of people in a room on April 14th made live decisions impacting over $11 million in local taxes and over $1 billion in property value.
The stakes are incredibly high.
They are. When the financial stakes are this high and the math is this complex, what happens to a community's future when the vast majority of its citizens don't show up to the meetings where the math is made? Definitely something to mull over. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.